Welcome to the Self-Awareness and Self-Compassion Podcast, formerly known as the Full Spectrum Feeling Podcast. I'm your host, Blaise Schwaller, life coach, mom, and former tattoo artist. I help people heal their past, speak their truth, and love the lives that they're living now. Join me here every week for conversations on how to live an imperfect but fully engaged life that embraces all the feels so that you can stretch into your best life while enjoying the you that's here right now. Hey friends, let's talk about respect, and in particular about self-respect, and how are you feeling about yourself today? And what are you willing to receive from others? I think it's a good question. So I've been thinking a lot about what it takes to show up as a person worthy of respect and a person who does respect not only others, but myself. What is it like to hold myself in that manner? How do other people reflect it back to me? And if I'm not getting that reflected back, where have I failed to show up and show that I am worthy of this respect, or that I deserve it, I need it, and I'm not going to accept less than that? It's a tough question sometimes because I frequently live my life in my own little bubble. Just, I'm happy, I'm going along, I'm doing what I need to do. And I don't worry too much about having a huge public persona or anything. I feel like I live my life. I'm pretty content. I'm happy to say hello to people. I feel like I'm polite and pleasant, but I don't often think about portraying a person who demands respect. And I watch a lot of TV shows, like Victorian era kind of stuff. Like I'm into all the Renaissance-y shows and dramas. And you look at the nobility and all of that, and how do we portray those characters and what did they demand? And it does get in my head where I'm like, what would I be like if I was a countess and I would just be a respectable personage in the realm, right? What would that even be? What are the equivalents in our society? And do I feel like I belong there? And I want to ask you who are listening, where do you feel like you belong in society? Do you feel like you belong up there, like everybody ought to be giving you your dues? Or do you feel like you're supposed to be respecting other people and begging their favor? And I'm sure that most of us kind of volley back and forth between the "you best respect me" and the "oh shit, I'm sorry, let me help you out, sir." That's in me. And I think it's in the majority of humanity. Like we all want to know where we fit in, and nobody, well, definitely not nobody, but most of the people I hang out with don't think that they're at the top of the ladder. But what would it be like if we were, or we did believe that? And I think in an interesting way, just believing that you're at the top of the ladder, it makes your life different. You kind of demand that people respect you as though that's where you are, and then you end up there. And it's supremely irritating that it could possibly be that way, but I suspect that it is. And so I am working on how can I portray myself to myself, not even out in the world with others, because I think all of these kinds of changes really have to stem from within us, and they need to come from a genuine place. Like I'm not able to just project confidence without actually feeling confident about something. I've worked a lot on becoming more confident and feeling capable of just showing up and saying hi and talking in public, being on a podcast, going out and having speaking events, all of those things. And I'm cool with that now. I don't feel comfortable like walking in front of, I don't know, like what if I had to get in front of 1 million people in like a giant stadium and tell them what to think? I would be like, oh shit. It's very different. Like I can talk from here in a room with a microphone, very different from having a microphone and seeing all the faces that are actually like taking in my voice at that exact moment. It's kind of bizarre that way. And yet it does translate. So I think there are ways that we can train ourselves to either gain confidence, to gain experience in occupying a certain attitude that helps us. And they do add up over time, because certainly I've noticed that recording the podcast has made it much easier for me to go do a speaking event now, where the overwhelming anxiety and crushing fear of like standing in front of a group of people has very much diminished. And I know I'm going to be okay. And I know that like 2 years ago, before I had started recording these and just speaking more and more frequently to a crowd, maybe they're not right in front of me, but I know I'm speaking to a group of people, like it really changed how I feel about my voice, how I feel about my ability to speak and share. And honestly, it made me reconsider like the value of what I have to say. That if I'm recording this and I'm putting it out in the world, there must be something valuable in what I have to say. And I will learn that value through how many people want to hear it and what kind of feedback I get for people who hear it. So just getting out there and practicing lets me exercise that. So it's both an exercise in, do I value my voice? Do I value my words and my thoughts? How can I speak them to an audience and have that be received? And it's an exercise in going, okay, if I can do that here in my house with my little microphone, now could I take the same concepts and go out and speak live in front of a big group of people and field that? And that's gone well too. So that's pretty cool. And now, as life is moving along and I'm recognizing that I would like more, I'd like more, just like all of us do. You realize like, oh, okay, I'm able to do that and I want bigger now. What does that mean? Does that mean that I deserve more respect, or did I always deserve respect, or am I ready to step into a role that I feel is more respectable? I have all of these questions because I think I'm never going to get from others what I can't give or expect to myself. So I think I first have to perceive myself as someone worthy of showing up to give a speech or to do any of that stuff before I was able to have them happen. And it happened, and that's cool. And if I want to be someone whose voice is very taken seriously, I don't want to keep saying respect, because it's getting boring, isn't it? But I want to be taken seriously. What's the next level? What next level do I have to show up and provide? And then how does that person, that future self of me, hold myself? What is it that I do that's different from how I've behaved so far? And I translate this into some of the work I'm doing with my clients about when we have disappointing relationships with other people, or things get heated or weird, or there's arguments and someone disappoints you and takes advantage of you or any of that. And it comes down to, I can't believe that they wouldn't show me common respect the way I respect them. It's making me explore how do we show up and just take respect, not like take it from someone, but just be a presence in which you could only respect that. You could only behave with respect towards that person. Because I think there are certain figures, like just people that you encounter where, like you see someone and you get in the room with them and you're just like, oh, I'm immediately calm. I feel like I owe respect to this person. I'm going to be polite. I want to hear what they have to say. And those presences usually are very calm people. They're not uppity and crazy and all over the place. Like, they command respect because they're so confident and so still and sure in who and what they are. I find that very interesting. And so when people are fielding, conflict in their lives, I'm observing, like, are you able to show up within that conflict as the eye of that storm, to be able to be that calm center and be like, okay, you're buzzing around me like an angry hornet, but this is the reality. This is what's going on. This is what needs to be done. There's something about being able to be very calm and steady and very certain in how you expect and want things to go that allows other people to come into alignment with it. But I also know that this doesn't just happen overnight. We don't just suddenly wake up and we're like, oh, I just know how to handle every argument. And I'm just going to be the presence. I'm going to show up in the room and someone's going to be upset. And just by me existing, they're going to agree with me. And I don't think that's what happens, But I do think that there's an energy into which people come into alignment with, or they can come into agreement with. And it takes us being unwavering in a way to be so sure that we're going to be okay and that we're handling it and we are us, that they can't help but just let that exist, and then they have to kind of go around it somehow. Like they're not going to bend you, they're not going to break you, they're not going to change how you wanted to be treated or how you need to be treated. I guess that's it. Like when I think of it as like you have this pillar of yourself and you don't want to just like fall over in the wind and become a doormat for somebody. And equally, you don't want to be so rigid that you snap. Like you want to be able to bend, but essentially come back. Like no matter what windstorm you're in, you eventually return to your center. And here you are. Nice and calm, very steady, very secure. That's a nice place to be. It's a nice existence to feel. So how can we do that more? I think for myself, I talk to myself a lot. I think about all these things. And I wonder, is there a posture that I can be in that I would take more seriously if I saw it in someone else? So then I'll notice, well, am I not doing that? How am I actually, if I was to review my interaction with someone, was I all like leaning backwards and looking up and fidgeting? Was I smiling a lot and agreeing and not really having a deep connection through the eyes? Like, what am I doing that's signaling that I'm like the lesser energy in the interaction? And how can I show up to be an equal energy or even the more stable pillar, the more stable energy? It's an interesting dynamic to contemplate. So I've noticed like, okay, I need to actually work on my center of gravity. And where is it? Am I always tilting backwards? Usually I am. And I was like, well, that doesn't feel very centered. What if I could actually change my whole body posture to be much more in the ground? So that's something that I'm working on. And it does change the way I feel, even in a conversation. So I would offer that one. Try that out. See what your normal dynamic is for having conversations. Are you always leaning in? Are you always leaning back? Where are you? And just notice how you feel if you change it a little bit and how it changes other people interacting with you. And notice if you're the chaotic energy or you're surrounded by the chaotic energy and who's reacting to whom. And of course, you're both reacting to each other. That's just the nature of interactions. But usually someone, I guess I'd say it like they have the stronger energy and we tend to mimic them more, or they mimic us if we're the stronger energy. I know that for myself, I tend to be the grounded, calming, stable energy. And most of the time, people spin into my orbit and they slow down and we get calm and happy. And we laugh and we giggle and we have a good time, but it's very chill. And I don't enjoy anymore being in situations where it's very chaotic. It's never been where I'm comfortable, but I'm able to more and more go into those situations and find my calm center and watch as the people closest to me in proximity slowly wind down their orbit and also calm it down. It's interesting. I don't know if I've mastered this yet. I definitely haven't in family gatherings. I'm the quiet little bean. I'm not loud. So I don't know that it's necessarily even about volume, though. I think there is a difference between having a loud volume and having a calm presence. And I think that still remains true. So maybe I am succeeding in that regard. I'm never going to get loud. It's just not me. People would ask me to scream. I'm like, I can't. I'm too scared. Oh. And so, respect. Self-respect. How do we get more of it? How can I love myself more and show myself that I'm ready for more respect from others, that I'm ready to be taken seriously? Ooh, that's a good question, isn't it? Yeah. How would we behave if we took ourselves more seriously or we were ready for other people to take us more seriously? Just asking that question points out any doubts I have about my convictions. And I think asking that question naturally will lead you to get more clear, more serious about what it is that's important to you, what it is that's worth showing up and taking a stand on, and how you want that to go down. And I think ultimately that's what we're looking for when we say that we want more respect or to be respected, is that there's a way that we want our interactions to go that is polite, that takes us into consideration, and that has really seen what we are representing or what we have to say and taking it seriously. And we get that the most when we really take ourselves seriously and we believe in what we have to say and what we have to do. Yeah. So, how can we respect ourselves more? I will leave you with that question. How could you change the way you're showing up today to really believe in yourself more and to be someone who invites and commands respect without having to do anything? Isn't that crazy to think like you don't have to do anything? It's just automatic. What would that be like to know that that was owed to you or going to happen? How would you show up? I'm asking that today. I'm going to go out in the world and see how it all plays out. But may you all find yourselves having wonderful interactions with people, being able to really respect yourself so much that it's natural for you to reflect respect to others and watch it come bounce back to you. Yeah. Have an awesome week. I look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and share it with someone you love, and leave us a review. You can learn more and get some self-compassion tips and tricks by visiting coachwithblaze.com, where you can sign up to get my free booklet on overcoming anxiety, overwhelm, exhaustion, and burnout. I'm sending you so much appreciation and love, and I'll see you next time.